If planet Earth was invaded by an alien species and humans had their bodies ripped from them, losing their bodily autonomy as the aliens inserted their own souls into them, what would you do? This is a question that has plagued me since 2013 when one of my favorite YA films was released, The Host. For one of my first introductions to the sci fi genre, I thought it was pretty good at the time, but now that I'm rewatching it with a fresh eye, I don't think I can say that anymore, and I'm low key disappointed. We will get into why. The Host is a 2013 American romantic sci fi thriller film written for the screen and directed by Andrew Niccol. This story centers around an alien species called souls who travel the universe, taking over the bodies of the planet's dominant species. They use their advanced intelligence and advanced tech to exert their will over the planet, and they've taken it upon themselves to perfect it because humans have not been able to do that. Which, I mean, that's kind of fair. I mean, considering everything going on today with racism increasing, the numerous women getting killed by their spouses, and the ongoing genocide, I can understand why an alien species would think we don't deserve a planet to live on. I can understand it. I've wished it myself quite a few times, but I'd rather them go about it a different way because I love being alive and I haven't experienced enough life yet, so maybe let's hold off on that for at least another few millennia. This movie is an adaptation of Stephanie Meyer's novel of the same name, the same Stephanie Meyer who wrote the Twilight books. This is a fun revelation for me, actually. I want to do videos on the Twilight movies specifically, but I want to read the books first to really give that series a proper review. The Host was her first standalone novel to come out after her Twilight series ended, receiving #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, remaining on it for 26 weeks. It also spent over 36 weeks on the Los Angeles Times bestseller list and currently holds a 3.8 on Goodreads. According to the fandom wiki, the idea for the novel came to Meyer during a trip from Phoenix, Arizona to Salt Lake City, Utah. Bored, Meyer made up stories set in the same area to entertain herself and was halfway through outlining the story of the host in her head before realizing what she had created. Though the novel reached #1 on multiple bestseller lists, it had a very mixed reception, and this can honestly apply to all of Meyer's work. She's had a lot of success, but many critics describe her work as juvenile and amateurish. One New York Times review of Twilight indicates that Meyer relies too much on telling rather than showing. Another very telling fact about her that influences her writing is the fact that she is Mormon. Meyer has said, "Unconsciously, I put a lot of my basic beliefs into the story. Free agency is a big theme." And this is definitely true, as we'll explore in this video. The movie fared much worse in reception. It currently holds a 10% critic score and a 50% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, a 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb, and a 35 on Metacritic. Not many people even watched it. It only received $63 million at the box office with a $40 million budget. Unfortunately, I'm not really surprised at this reception. I kind of agree. After covering Beautiful Creatures, I kind of figured more of these YA adaptations would have done better, but I'm kind of surprised that they didn't. I can understand why they didn't at the same time though, because even though a lot of them are fine on their own, let's not pretend these studios weren't trying to capitalize on the successes of Harry Potter or The Hunger Games, okay? I feel like they pumped these out so quickly during that time to capitalize on that momentum that a lot of them, I do have to admit, feel like they're phoning it in. It feels like there's not a ton of effort put into some of these projects, and I feel that kind of does a disservice to young adult media in general, you know? Because when I watch some of these movies, I just be like, damn, like, I kind of wish we had better media than this. We'll get more into these in the future, but like I said, I am very disappointed with this one. This movie opens with an explanation of how life is on Earth. In this universe, an alien species has invaded the planet and have taken over the bodies of almost all human beings. The few uninhabited humans left are on the run. We are following the story of one rebel human, Melanie Stryder, as she becomes the host of an alien by the name of Wanderer. She's cornered by these souls who claim they're trying to help, but Melanie knows her fate. She runs upstairs and jumps out of a 10-story window in an attempt to kill herself. herself. She does this because she is part of that rebel force of humans that remain in hiding, so she cannot allow these aliens to get any information from her memory. While the human soul slowly fades away, the alien creatures are still able to access all their memories, so that will not be a good thing for Melanie's family. It sucks that she had to kill herself. I feel like I would have taken the chance going downstairs a couple floors and then jumped out a window. I'd rather risk that to escape unharmed than die and have to leave my family behind. But regardless, the aliens come scoop her limp body up off the pavement. Somehow she's not dead. That's a fucking miracle. But every bone is broken and every organ is fucked. They then spray some first aid spray in her mouth, healing all her wounds, and then it's operation time. Melanie has earned herself a one-way ticket to no longer having control of her body anymore. This is really sad. They pull out this little container, and in it is the soul that will be inserted. Wanderer. This is their form normally, and then they're inserted into the necks of human beings to kind of live a new life, I guess. This is kind of their version of birth or reincarnation in a way. This process also gives the host body's eyes a glowing ring to distinguish them from normal humans. We next follow Wanderer as she's adjusting to her new body when we find out that Melanie is not actually dead. Her consciousness is still in her body. This is a plot device that stays with us throughout the film. The pull of Melanie's resistance and her relationship with Wanderer are explored, and at this point, it begs the question, is Melanie the only human to resist in this way? Because there's billions of us on this planet, right? Like, there's bound to be at least a few of us who are still conscious and watching aliens take over the world right in front of them. Like, how crazy is that? I like to think I would be like Melanie and would resist. I'm just built like that. I have a problem with authority. Wanderer goes to meet with one of the aliens known as Seeker, and Seeker gives us a little explanation of the soul's purpose as a species. They go from planet to planet, taking over the bodies of inhabitants, not to change the world, but to experience it and perfect it, as Seeker puts it, to completely take away the bodily autonomy of every human being in an effort to perfect the world. I mean, who made y'all judge, jury, and executioner? Like, what are we talking about? All we need is to remove the billionaires and distribute their wealth equally. Why don't y'all do that first? Help us out there, and then we can talk about sharing the world together in peace. Wanderer is tasked with going through Melanie's memories to get information on her rebel group, and we get into her backstory. Melanie was born in Louisiana, and she and her family had initially escaped the first wave of colonization, as Wanderer so lovingly puts it, but is ultimately forced to go on the run with her brother, Jamie. Their father killed himself so as not to be caught. How incredibly sad. I imagine this is how most of the humans in this world got caught and subsequently turned into a host vessel. And it's like, in this situation, how could you not feel absolutely hopeless after witnessing something like that? Like, yeah, they've been on the run for a while, but eventually they were going to get caught. Almost the entire planet has been colonized by now, and they have massive numbers searching for them. Something like this was bound to happen. This kind of reminds me of whenever I'm asked if I could survive the zombie apocalypse. This is what I imagine it to be like. I'm sorry, but I'm just not living through that mess. I'm not. I will absolutely take myself out before it gets to that point. But Wanderer leaves the building, and as she's walking, she and Melanie have a little chat where Wanderer tells her the loss of her will is for the common good. To which Melanie responds, "Call it whatever you want. This is murder." Oh, that's right, Melanie. Call this bitch out, okay? We are not cattle. And when I get my body back, I would need some serious revenge if some alien took over my body and I'm just watching this bitch strut around town like I wasn't an autonomous being before it got there. Like, bitch, how dare you actually? That night, Wanderer is dreaming and we see a memory of Melanie meeting one of the movie's main love interests, Jared. Melanie is gathering supplies when she's cornered by him, and when he sees that her eyes are normal, he immediately goes in for a kiss. You're human. I mean, look, I understand it's probably been a long time for him. He ain't seen a woman in God knows how long, but that don't make you forget your manners, sir. You ain't had to assault her like that, bro. Let's not do that. And rightfully, she knocks his ass to the ground and runs off. He then goes to tackle her just to show her he's normal too. But they chat it up.
I didn't mean to scare you. I haven't spoken to another human being in 2 years. I'm guessing you haven't been kissed in a while either.
And he offers to give her a ride back to her little brother. Wanderer wakes up from this dream and immediately starts drawing a portrait of Jared. As she does this, Melanie forces Wanderer to stop by throwing her pencil across the room. So now we know that with enough force, Melanie can control her body again. Wanderer brings this picture and the information she gathered in her dream back to the Seeker the next day, like a fucking snitch. I literally hated Wanderer so much at the beginning. Like, damn, bitch. I know you doing your job and whatnot, but where is your empathy? And that's another interesting thing about this movie, too. The souls have zero sense of empathy. Wanderer changes later on, and we'll get into that, but imagine having to face off against an entity like this, where you see that they have no sense of regret or remorse for colonizing entire planets, like they've been doing for thousands of years at this point. Honestly, you know what? Would I be wrong to say this movie is basically an allegory for how colonization took place in our real life centuries ago? Would I be wrong to say that? I don't know. The parallels are paralleling in my mind right now. Y'all just gonna have to stay with me here. Stay with me. That's probably not at all what Stephanie Meyer was alluding to, but that's what it's giving to me right now. But we continue with Melanie's story. She, in these flashbacks, is now traveling with Jared and her brother. They've become a little family by that point, and she and Jared share an actually consensual kiss this time. As she's remembering Melanie's life, Wanderer zones out a little bit and is called out by Seeker. She lets us know that these human hosts aren't like the other bodies on other planets they've inhabited. They often experience very intense physical drives here. Her saying that confirms to me that these aliens don't feel any human emotion, so there isn't really a way to show them that what they're doing invading planets is wrong. But Wanderer seems to be softening to humans as she digs deeper into Melanie's memories. Wanderer continues through them, and we get to the point in Melanie's memories where she got cornered in the hotel at the beginning of the film. She intended to spend the night before moving on and went to gather supplies, but as we know, Melanie gets caught. Jamie, her brother, was also there. He was made to hide and run as Melanie distracted the Seekers. Absolutely awful. She sacrificed herself for her baby brother. How sad. Luckily, Wanderer feels bad and doesn't reveal to the Seeker that Jamie was there that night, nor does she reveal anything about where else they may have been hiding. After Wanderer's questioning, she gets a flash of a mountain range and quickly draws it out on a piece of paper, with Melanie begging her not to say anything about it to the Seeker or it will kill her family. When I first watched this, I was like, fuck, dude, she's gonna tell. Melanie is gonna have to sit back and watch her family get murdered right now. What the fuck? But Wanderer rips up the paper and puts it in her pocket. Crisis averted for now. Continuing on, we get a little montage of Wanderer being questioned by the Seeker again, and it's revealed that it's been weeks since she last had any information on the rebels to give up. Melanie is also doing a better job of convincing Wanderer to not answer any questions. Later on, the Seeker goes to meet with Wanderer to ask what her problem is, and Melanie successfully tells her to walk away instead of answering. Seeker is confused by this and asks if Wanderer pities the humans, and Wanderer says, "Don't you?" And they basically get into why humans don't deserve life and their planet. Again, I understand the sentiment, but this isn't a great way to go about solving our problems at all. Seeker then states that there's been a sighting of Jared and that they'll be able to catch him soon. Hearing this, Melanie goes ballistic and takes control of her body again, attacking the Seeker. She gets knocked out, and Seeker decides that Wanderer will be transferred to a more compliant host, while the Seeker herself will extract the memories of Melanie. So it's now or never. They have to escape ASAP. One thing I'm noticing though, I don't feel like they've done a good enough job establishing the relationship between Wanderer and Melanie, because now Wanderer is just following every single order that Melanie is telling her. And I understand that there's been a couple instances of Wanderer possibly feeling bad for Melanie and her family. I just don't think it's enough to be like, okay, I'm listening to everything you tell me now. Y'all know what I mean? Like, we went from Wanderer feeling the sensation of a kiss with Jared to now they're escaping together. Like, what? I just feel like there needs to be more chemistry between these two events, you know? Okay, I'll give you the memory of Jamie, but I think Wanderer gave up on her job a little too fast. And this movie is 2 hours long, an hour and 55 minutes without credits. I just think they could have given us an extra few minutes to really build that relationship between Melanie and Wanderer in front of the audience. not some throwaway line telling us that it's been a few weeks of them being intertwined. Maybe it's a thing where Melanie's control has gotten so deep so quickly that she's basically controlling Wanderer instead of the other way around. Maybe that's the case, I don't know. But they escape by jumping off the balcony of Wanderer's apartment later that night. They also knock out this guard. I feel like they should have kept that knockout gas just in case. That could have been helpful. They then steal an old man's car and decide to go to Fort Worth, Texas to find Wanderer's healer. Wanderer believes this specific healer will help them somehow. Back at the apartment, Seeker is going through Wanderer's clothes, and guess what her dumbass left in the pocket of her pants? The fucking picture of that mountain range. Hey, I have 1,000 questions. How did that not get thrown away? Why did Wanderer not check her pants before changing into new pants? Why did Melanie not force her to throw those pieces away or burn them? It's always one tiny detail that the characters are written to miss that derails their entire plan and almost gets them killed. So they're driving, and Melanie gives Wanderer another memory of her and Jared together as a way to distract her from where Melanie is taking her, which is a very smart play on Melanie's part. Melanie manages to lead them to the desert where Jared and Jamie are hiding. Wanderer catches on and tries to turn around, but gets them into a major car wreck. I genuinely don't know how they survived that. The car flipped like 10 times. Her neck should be broken. Her arm should be broken. She should have a couple broken ribs. Like, girl, how do you manage to get up from that and start walking away? Seeker is hot on their trail now, like I suspected. She matched the picture Wanderer drew to the desert, so that's great. The Seeker then finds their fucked up car in the desert too, so that's doubly great. But back to Melanie and Wanderer, they've been walking for a really long time and almost die in the process, but they get found by Melanie's uncle, Jeb. He's shocked to see that Melanie's been turned when his crew pulls up. They almost kill Melanie on the spot, but Jeb stops them and decides to bring her back with them blindfolded. This other lady, Aunt Maggie, slaps her too. I'm like, damn. Like, I don't know if I could do that to my niece, even if her body was taken over by an alien. Very rough. Also, homeboy from the first Percy Jackson movie is in this. He must have been booked and busy during the early 2010s. I don't know how I don't remember him being in this. They all make it to their underground cave home, and we see Jared. Jared also decides to slap Wanderer in the face. I'm actually not enjoying all of this abuse towards this young girl. I feel really weird about that. Makes me really uncomfortable, but considering this story centers around bodily autonomy and the idea of agency, and knowing that Wanderer has taken the body of someone that they love, I feel like they're all kind of doing the same thing to Wanderer that she did to Melanie, if that makes sense. Like, in the same way that Wanderer removed the humanity from Melanie, the group is in turn doing the same to Wanderer and choosing to be more violent with her and removing her freedom, essentially. There's that, and then there's also just the fact that this creature that's a part of a larger coalition of aliens that have invaded their planet, unceremoniously inserting themselves into their bodies without consent, I'd probably be violent with it too if it came into my vicinity. So they discuss what to do with her, and Maggie suggests taking her to Doc's place. We don't know what this means yet. Put a pin in that, when Jamie shouts no, stopping them. I don't know if my version of the movie is cut weird or not, but Melanie slash Wanderer is slapped by Jared, right? She's on the floor, and we can see that she's clearly awake because she hears Jamie shout no in her defense, and then it just cuts to Wanderer passed out, being carried into some sort of cell by Jared. When did they knock her out? Was she supposed to be knocked out when she hit the floor after Jared slapped her? Like, I don't really know what's going on there, but this is a really weird cut, and I feel like there should have been something in between these two moments. But continuing on, we cut back to Seeker. She's now called in reinforcements to come investigate the car crash. They luckily don't find a trail because Melanie was smart enough to tell Wanderer earlier to walk only on the rocks so as not to leave tracks. Wanderer wakes up, and Melanie tells her that her group doesn't know that a human can stay alive after being implanted with a soul. She tells Wanderer not to say anything about it because it would be no use. They wouldn't believe her and would think that it was just a plot to stay alive. Melanie then accepts their fate and apologizes. Damn, y'all. If I didn't know we had an hour of this movie left, I would think shit has really hit the fan. Wanderer seemingly falls asleep and wakes up again to food sitting next to her bed from Jared. As Wanderer is eating, Jared gets up from where he was sitting at the door, and a group of thugs meet him in the hallway. They intend to kill Wanderer so she doesn't escape and bring the Seekers to their home, but Jared beats all of their asses to protect her. Period. Wanda offers herself up to them so they don't hurt Jared, and one of them goes in to choke her out. He almost kills her when Jeb shoots at them, ending all the ruckus. Jeb's like, yeah, no, you niggas are not gonna kill my niece in my own home. Y'all are guests. Act like it. Period, Jeb. And one of them talking about, oh, we took a vote. She has to die. Bitch, what? You are a guest. You don't get to hold a vote and act like your opinion holds weight when you just got there. That's his niece. And I guarantee Jared would have killed all three of y'all if Jeb hadn't stepped in. All three of you niggas would be on a t-shirt. But Jeb kicks all of them out and watches over Wanderer on his own. We then transition to the Seekers again, still trying to find Melanie and Wanderer. Our main Seeker doesn't want to give up just yet and calls for more reinforcements. At the same time, Jared and Ian watch them from a distance, and through their short conversation, we find out that these two are brothers. So you see where this is going, right? Because of course, it's going to turn into a sci-fi romance with a love triangle between these two boys. I'ma just spoil that aspect for you now because it's 2013. Of course, there's a love triangle. Don't take this as a criticism though. I'm actually not mad at it. Wanderer then finds Jamie and talks to him through a hole in the ceiling. She tells him everything that happened that night she disappeared, but she doesn't mention to him that Melanie is still alive. Jeb is intently listening as Jamie is asking questions about herself, and before we get to find out where exactly Wanderer came from, Jared and Ian come back, with Jared scolding Jamie for talking to the alien. I mean, can you blame him though? She's harmless right now. I don't see the harm in asking her some questions. She also purposely went to seek you guys out and almost died trying to get there. I feel like that counts for something. He tells Jamie that it's not Melanie that's in this body anymore, and she's never coming back. Now, if he truly believes that, why did he fight to protect her from Ian and his boys earlier? Why did he give her food right before that? Like, sir, you're being very flip-floppy right now. But I'm sure he's battling within himself the idea that Melanie came back and could still be here with us. He and Ian decide to watch Wanderer together, and they have an argument about whether or not Wanderer is something more than just an alien. Jared is, again, all gung-ho about believing that Melanie is not there anymore, and Ian calls him out, rightfully assessing that something is different about Wanderer. He recognized her eagerness to sacrifice herself in order to save Jared from getting beat up and causing more trouble. We keep cutting back and forth to the Seeker, but I'm just gonna skip these until something important happens. It's a lot of her just looking around and having a "where are you" voice line. Jeb gives Wanderer a tour of the caves. He says he found them by accident and that he almost died trying to find a way back out. Jeb, at this point, gives Wanderer a new name. He says her name is too long, so we will now be referring to her as Wanda. Now, I haven't read the book yet, so I'm not sure how far into the novel Jeb gives her this nickname, but for those that have seen the movie, do y'all feel like this movie is going way too fast? I know I've been chatty, but take all my chatty parts out of it. I'm realizing how fast all of this is going. Scenes are extremely short throughout this movie. Time seems to pass very quickly in this story, and I'm left almost out of breath when watching this. And I feel like this is something that I notice anyway with book to film adaptations. You have to cram so much into a 2-hour runtime with no guarantee that there'll be a second film or a show to round everything off and allow time to progress slower. So maybe that's why everything is happening so fast. That's just my 2 cents. But we continue on with our tour, and Jeb takes Wanda to a flowing river deep within the caves. He tells her to be careful because if you fall in, you won't be coming back, and takes her to the bath area. We'll save this river area for later, it will be important. Now, another really quick scene of the men going off on a mission for supplies, and Wanda takes a bath. Jeb then takes Wanda to their underground crop fields, where they have this huge mirror system that brings sunlight down to grow the crops. How does Melanie not know all this? She knew about the mountain range and knew which way to walk when they were stuck in the desert, but it seems like she's never been in these caves before. She's just as much in awe at everything as Wanda is on this tour. It just doesn't make sense because how did Jared and Jeb meet if Jeb is Melanie's uncle? And they weren't all traveling together. Was it Jamie that introduced them? I just feel like I need a little more explanation here. I also don't feel like this movie establishes a good sense of time between events. So between Melanie getting caught at the beginning and Jeb finding this place and creating an entire ecosystem of crops and this huge pulley system for the mirrors, like, How long has it actually been? Like, it's got to be at least 6 months by this point. And I know in the book, Wanda is inside Melanie for a year. So I guess all this takes place over a year. I feel like I'm very confused. As Wanda and Jeb walk through the field, Jeb questions why Wanda risked her life with no backup plan to find Melanie's family. He guesses that with as strong of a fighter as Melanie is in what she believes, in the love that she has for her family, Melanie's resistance is what brought Wanda to them. They then hear a helicopter overhead and all run to turn the mirrors to keep from getting caught. The Seeker almost catches them. They play it like she saw a reflection of something, but it's a fake out and everything is right in the world again. Jeb then gives Jamie, a 10-year-old boy, a gun and tells him to watch Wanda for a little bit. Now, Jeb, I know it's the apocalypse, but giving a child a gun, is that really the most appropriate action here when tasked with watching his sister? Okay, it's not loaded, but it's not really smart to put him in that situation because literally anything could go wrong. So Jamie takes Wanda to his secret spot. Whenever he misses the outside world, he comes here to see the glowworms glow like stars in the night sky. They start talking and he asks her if what Jeb said was true about Melanie being alive. Melanie internally tells Wanda to reveal the truth to him and they share a really cute moment together. Of all people, I definitely think Jamie deserves to know his sister is still here. I wouldn't mind telling Jeb also. I trust Jeb entirely. Wanda also tells Jamie to keep Melanie being alive a secret, so we'll see how long that lasts. We next see the boys at the store stocking up on supplies when one of the aliens pulls up in their nice car and catches them. Jared knocks him out and they kidnap him. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Now we move on from that really, really fast yet again to see Wanda and Jamie called by Jeb to do some work. Jeb puts them to work, honey. Wanda gotta earn her keep around here. Ian is also working and he starts watching her, later offering his water after Maggie doesn't give her one. I know Ian's starting to like her now, but that's your brother's girl, man. She still has the body of Melanie, so ain't it kind of weird that you crushing on her? Maybe he doesn't even know that they used to be together, cause we don't know what Ian and Jared be talking about. Also, maybe they're not even brothers for real. Maybe Ian just said that earlier because they live together now and have for a few months, so maybe they're just so super close now that they call each other brothers. I don't know. Very confusing. This is why I feel like I can't get into this as much as I thought I would. I'm missing so many details. Maybe I'm just so neurodivergent that I'm just thinking too much about the details, but I need the details to enjoy it, okay? I need things to make sense. I'm sorry. The helicopter comes over again, and Jamie, distracted by the noise, cuts his leg with the tool he was using. I feel like this is kind of dumb though, because why would he continue swinging if he heard that noise? Wouldn't you stop immediately? And then this next part is another one of those things where just one tiny thing goes wrong and all hell breaks loose. So the boys are coming back from their supply run, and a helicopter overhead notices that one of the trucks is going faster than the speed limit. Now all of a sudden, they got the Seekers on their ass and they get into a huge shootout in the middle of the highway. Y'all literally could have gotten away with this if that one truck hadn't been driving over the speed limit. I just feel like that's so convenient. Like, we have to add at least one action movie shootout in this, so let's come up with a dumbass reason for the boys to get caught and have them die violently. Plot armor Jared over there parked on the side of the highway just watching all of this go down. Like, motherfucker, if you don't drive away, like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you sitting there watching instead of blending in with the traffic? And of course, they get caught too. The Seeker sees this dumbass pulling into the highway after his homies killed themselves and goes after them. This whole sequence of events pissed me the fuck off. I'm sorry. I'm just confused as to how the boys didn't notice the helicopter overhead beforehand. I feel like they would have heard the helicopter coming much sooner. I also would have thought that they would recognize when to blend in with everyone else. The humans do a terrible job of blending in, actually. I'm very shocked they haven't been caught by now. The way the boys be acting, you would think they weren't rebels trying to hide and save their families from certain death. I get that they can't really hide their eyes very well, so they wear sunglasses, which sticks out, but at least adopt the mannerisms. I mean, my God. Drive at the speed limit. Be more robotic. Do something to show that you're not a human being when you're out and about in the world. Y'all gotta adapt. At the same time that this is happening, everyone is asking Wanda questions about where she came from and what her species stands for. She tells them they've colonized 12 planets so far, seeking to live in harmony, with the indigenous population rather than conquer them. They don't see it as colonization and forced assimilation, but as we see it, it's very clear that these aliens are either in denial about what they're doing or cannot understand why what they're doing is wrong. With how Wanda explains it and how the Seeker explains it, them invading planets is almost a courtesy. They have no duty to see it from our perspective and realize that their actions devastate the natural progression of other worlds. They forcibly exert their will over others in an effort to save them from themselves. In my research for this video, I found that this is actually one of the beliefs of Mormonism. As we know, Stephanie Meyer is a Mormon, and apparently they believe that Satan's plan for human salvation was to save all souls by removing their agency and ability to sin. These alien creatures are Satan in this instance, and throughout the course of this novel/movie, we understand that the theme is how important bodily autonomy and agency are to human or non-human life. Moving on, Jared and his homeboy get chased. Jared causes the Seeker to crash and then tries to kidnap him. I'm just so confused why Jared is doing this again. Like, maybe drive away? I don't know. You know the Seekers are chasing you now. It would be smart to continue driving. Now, one of those really convenient things happens again. The guy that Jared's with drops his gun out the window when they get into that car crash. And when our main Seeker, the white lady, confronts them, she's graced with that gun and starts shooting. From this action, it's clear that the Seeker is starting to lose it. She's then scolded by one of her other coworkers. They don't kill each other. Ever. They pride themselves on not being like the humans with our intense emotions, so her killing another calls into question her authority. She is very angry, and clearly it's not normal for them to be this way. I definitely think her anger is coming from the woman she got implanted to. Humanity is strong, people. We feel things so intensely, even aliens can't handle that shit. We are too hot to handle. Anyway, we get back to Wanda. We find out that she's over 1,000 years old, and she says Earth is the most beautiful and hard planet she's ever dealt with. Everybody's chill, having a good time, when Jared busts in, ruining the vibes. This is like when you hear your dad coming home from work and the relaxed vibes just get sucked out of the room and you're immediately on edge. Jared grabs a gun intending to kill Wanda because of everything that happened on their supply run, and Jeb has to fight him off. Jamie spills the beans immediately and reveals that Melanie is still in there, and killing Wanda will also kill Melanie. Kids really can't keep any secrets. Jeb literally had it handled, but here go Jamie telling everybody. And of course, Jared doesn't believe it. He leaves, and Wanda suggests she go back to her cell. Ian pipes up and says she can stay at my house. She'll be safe there. Right, Ian. Okay, she'll be safe. Right. He's so transparent. And that's another thing about this movie. Like, all these characters are so transparent. None of them are really complex in any meaningful way. It's all just very predictable. Now that I'm watching this with fresh adult eyes, I really don't care what happens to any of them. Not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, but I just wish it was a little different. Ian takes her home and he asks her what it's like having Melanie in the same body. Wanda says it feels crowded, and that's all we get to hear from her about her experience. Melanie says he likes Wanda too much and that she'll do anything that she can to keep them apart. This scene ends rather quickly, and we transition to Jared and Melanie in bed together. They drop that on us real quick, and turns out this was Jared's dream. Jared then goes to talk to Wanda, and yeah, I'm a little nervous about them meeting up. I'm a little nervous. Jared is very hot-headed, so if she says something even remotely close to wrong, he gonna be on her ass like white on rice. Wanda immediately apologizes to him about what happened on the supply run, and Jared questions whether or not Melanie is still alive, trapped in her own body. He then says, if I can't kiss her, I can kiss you, and plants one on her. Melanie breaks out of containment and slaps him, and this somehow confirms to him that Melanie is still in there. What's with the assault in this movie? Why is it that his first instinct is always to kiss her when she doesn't want to do that? It also doesn't really make sense for him to assume that she would slap him just based off the one time she slapped him when they first met. They've been together for a while now. I'm sure she doesn't slap him anymore when they kiss. Different circumstances, sure, but does Melanie not feel feel the kiss too? Wouldn't her accepting the kiss be a better indicator of Melanie's consciousness? I know I'm thinking of all this shit way too deeply, but I can't not ask these questions. I have to poke holes in things. I'm sorry. But you know what? Who cares? They kissed for the first time since Melanie got captured, so hooray. But Wanda runs off and hides in the bathtub cave. Kyle, the sadistic asshole that tried to kill her when she first got there, calls out for her and she hides in the water. So now it's showdown time. Wanda tries to escape, but Kyle somehow finds her anyway and starts beating the fuck out of her. He's trying to pull her into the river we saw earlier. Remember that? When she hits him over the head with a rock and he falls into the strong current, never to be seen or dealt with again. Just kidding, he lives, but wouldn't that have been cool if he got swept away in that water? I would have liked to see that. Wanda tries to lie for him when they're both getting checked out later by saying it was an accident, but nobody believes that shit except for Maggie. Maggie is a bitch throughout this entire film. I'm over it. Jeb threatens Kyle to leave Wanda alone, and everybody separates. Jared says he has to go back on another supply run and brings Kyle with him, while Ian stays behind. Jared knows something's up with them too, though, because he then tells Ian to stay away from her. You know what time it is. It's Ian and Wanda's turn to get closer together. He takes her to the mountainside and they share a kiss. This really is kind of fucked up, though, to do this. This is Jared's girl, bro. I would feel really weird doing this behind Jared's back. We next get back to the Seeker, and my suspicions are correct. It seems as though the woman's original consciousness is still alive within herself, and she's really fighting back now. The Seeker still maintains almost full control, but because of this case and all of the stress, she's losing her grip slowly but surely. Things get suspicious when Wanda gets back. She asks Jamie where everyone is, and he lies and says he doesn't know. Wanda then notices the bandage on his leg is getting bloody and suggests he go to Doc's office to get it changed. Jamie refuses, saying he's just come from there and Doc told him it's fine and that he should just go lay down. He goes to do that, and Wanda/Melanie get suspicious and they go pay Doc a visit. It's there we find out why Jared has been kidnapping the Seekers. They've been conducting experiments on them to see if they can revive the human previously inhabiting the body. Melanie weirdly tries to stop Wanda from going in and seeing what was going on, and I'm just confused by that a little bit because did she know that they were doing these experiments somehow? How would she have known that if she's never been here before? I'm hoping she just got a weird vibe and her instincts told her that this was a bad idea, because if my initial thinking is correct, it wouldn't make any sense. She didn't know about these caves yet when she was captured, so I would think she didn't know about the experiments and therefore not care about stopping Wanda from being curious about what was going on. Melanie herself even said this doesn't make sense. What could be more important than Doc fixing Jamie? I thought she was also curious about what the Doc was doing, but I don't know. Extremely upset, Wanda runs off to hide in her cell. Ian goes to apologize and they sit in silence. People have been trying to give her food, but she's refusing to eat. Jeb comes to her one day and tries to talk to her. He does make a good point though.
What did you expect, Wanda? You expect us to just give up? This is our world. We haven't just lost a war, we're dying out. We're trying to get our people back.
Y'all came here from God knows where to assert your dominion over a foreign species that did not ask nor want your help, and you expect the rebel force to not experiment on you niggas at least a little bit to figure out what the hell they could do to get their planet back? I mean, y'all took over the entire planet. You're almost done colonizing it and you're throwing a tantrum over a few lost souls. Like, girl, bye. A lot of these people have lost their entire bloodline to this shit. This is the apocalypse. This is one of the worst possible things that they could ever experience. I'm sorry, but Wanda gotta step outside of herself. Just a little bit. Like, these people are genuinely desperate. What else can they do? Wanda tells him that this way isn't going to work and that she needs to leave. She can't live here while the humans are slaughtering her siblings in the next room. Jeb concedes and promises that he will stop taking hostages as long as she stays. Jeb also tells her that Jamie isn't doing too hot with the cut on his leg. It's now infected. It's also at this point, Melanie goes away and Wanda is left on her own for a little bit. Now concerned with Jamie's well-being, Wanda goes to Ian and gets him to kiss her again. She tries this tactic to get Melanie back, and she explains to Ian that when she ran out of Doc's office, she yelled at Melanie to get out of her head, and now she's gone. They do the kiss, it doesn't work. Ian then invites Jared to come and give Wanda a kiss too. Jared kisses her, Melanie comes back, and we find out Melanie has been out of commission for 3 days. She informs Melanie of everything going on with Jamie, and Wanda decides it's time to take matters into her own hands and figure out how to save Jamie. She knows she needs to get some of her own alien medicine, that first aid spray, and tells the plan to Jared, who helps her get to the hospital. She cuts her arm and opens the cut she already had on her forehead, gets checked in at the hospital. That seeker that's gone rogue has found tracks out in the desert from one of their trucks. I mean, my god, man. The humans are genuinely so fucking sloppy. It's getting annoying. And honestly, the aliens are just as bad and not as smart as they think they are. How hard is it to find these motherfuckers? Y'all have the technology to heal wounds instantly, but you haven't put out drones or some cameras or something out in the desert to find the last remaining humans. This bitch has been searching for weeks at this point and lost all of her sanity over it. Very sloppy. But Wanda gets healed and manages to steal a few first aid sprays from the office. As she's leaving, she catches a glimpse of the pods her species comes in. We then transition to Wanda making it back to Jamie, healing him just in time. The crew goes on another supply run. This time is pretty funny though. Wanda goes in by herself and just walks out with all the goods. No need to pay or anything. That must be nice. I just have to wonder again, how have they not gotten caught yet? Y'all can't try to blend in. Okay, I'll give the sunglasses a pass, but none of them motherfuckers stand like that next to their cars. That would immediately be suspicious to them. None of this makes sense. But whatever. They drive back, and on their way, they find one of their guys dead in the middle of the road. They're cornered by the Seeker, and just as things are ramping up, Jeb comes up behind her and shoots her in the shoulder. This scene went way too fucking fast. Seeker barely gets a word in, and Jeb is instantly behind her like he fucking teleported. This is just going way too fast, dude. Like, I wanted to see them have a short conversation at least. The way this movie is paced, it doesn't give us time to sit in the uncomfortableness of it all. We don't get a feel for how high the stakes can be while watching. It's honestly very disappointing. They heal her, which is kind of a weird choice, and she and Wanda have a conversation. I really can't even tell you what they talk about because it's kind of like, who cares? Like, it's just your basic villain spiel. I'm doing this for the greater good. We have to save our people. We couldn't live with the humans because they're dangerous. Like, we get it. There's really nothing revolutionary here. It also ends very quickly. I don't feel any which way about it because there's not enough dialogue to sit in it. Wanda then goes back to Doc's office, and Melanie is pleading with her to talk and to not shut her out. This is also a bit confusing because are they not in the same mind? Can't Melanie just read Wanda's thoughts? Why does Melanie have to have Wanda speak out loud every single time for her to know what's going on? Very strange rules to this. This story is legitimately falling apart right in front of me. But she and Doc talk, and Wanda tells him that she is able to do what he has failed to do thus far with the souls. She's able to extract a soul from a host body. She gives conditions to this knowledge though. He has to promise no other soul will get harmed in the process, and he has to let her die. They try this method on the white lady sticker, and it actually works. So the method is you can't treat it with hatred, you have to coax it out with kindness and love. What an absolute crock of bullshit. Why the hell am I going to treat my enslavers with love and kindness and friendship bracelets and unicorns and puppies? What the fuck are we talking about here? Treat your enslavers nicely or they'll continue to kill your entire family. This is such a weird message to end this movie on. This is so white woman coded. I'm sorry. It just is. Only the power of friendship can save the day when you're faced against an entire race of aliens invading your planet and there's nothing else you can do about it. Bitch, get the fuck out of my face. Like, seriously, what a load of bullshit. I'm actually pissed I used to like this movie. My god. I really was not aware of any of this. I haven't watched this movie in years. This is crazy, actually. The humans should have killed more of these fucking things, honestly. Now that we know the method, we can extract the souls and smash them into a billion tiny pieces, effectively ending their species. Thank you very much. This is so dumb. She puts that evil genocidal maniac in that little pod thing that she stole from the hospital. The woman then wakes up crying because she finally has her body back after who knows how long. Wanda should really feel ashamed of herself, honestly. She herself still hasn't realized or even acknowledged that her species has colonized a dozen planets. This woman crying tears of joy and happiness in her face should really be her fucking wake-up call. They proceed to send that bitch to Timbuktu, and we're all the better for it. Wanda calls a meeting and tells everyone it's her turn to get extracted.
That can't happen, Wanda. We need you.
And what does he need her for? Let's wake that up. You just horny, bro. You ain't got a front like she's so useful to the cause. We all know what it is. But she's lying, of course. She's planning on dying. Ian and Wanda share a very boring conversation.
You are not leaving me.
Blah, blah, blah. They kiss. Who cares? And now it's time for Wanda to get extracted. Melanie calls her sister and begs her not to do this. They share I love yous, and that's all well and good. I just don't think they did a good job of establishing the closeness between Wanda and Melanie. Okay, they're in the same brain, but all Melanie has been doing is bossing Wanda around. Maybe that's the thing about sisters, though. The older one just bosses the younger one around. I don't know. They say goodbye, and Wanda closes her eyes. We now transition to Wanda waking up again to see Melanie standing before her. She looks in the mirror and she's gotten herself a whole new body. Funnily enough, this is the same actress that plays Violet Baudelaire in A Series of Unfortunate Events. I'll be covering that movie soon as well, so stay tuned for that. But they basically take the body of an already dead girl they tried to extract a soul from and gave it to Wanda. So Jared and Ian are happy with their now separated women, even though Jared is a weirdo and has assaulted Melanie's body multiple times. They out here kissing in the rain like everything kosher. Man, fuck this movie, honestly. But that's where they end it, and there is also an epilogue. Months later, they get caught again by more seekers. Sloppy. But it turns out they're also working with the humans. Blah, blah, blah. We figure out that there's more survivors out there, and this is where we end it. And then Imagine Dragons Radioactive plays us out to really put a cherry on top of this 2013 bullshit. Wow. They really phoned it in on this one. This is nowhere near as good as Beautiful Creatures, in my opinion. Like, Beautiful Creatures is not the best by any means. I give that one a solid 7.5 out of 10, but this is getting a 4 out of 10, and I'm being generous. I really only watched for Saoirse. I can't give this movie anything else, and that deeply saddens me. I don't feel like anything was consistent. Everything that got the humans caught was convenient as fuck. Like, I can excuse it a couple times. Sometimes things just happen like that, but when it's every single time, it's like, okay, y'all are just doing it just to do it, and you don't really care if it makes sense or not to move the story along. The pacing was absolutely fucking atrocious. This movie is almost a full 2 hours. The credits start in an hour and 55 minutes and run for 10 minutes almost exactly. They gave us no time to sit in anything. And I get it, they only have so much time to fit an entire book into 2 hours, but goddamn. It felt like every scene was 10 seconds or less, and then they're moving on to the next thing. 10 seconds and we're moving on. 10 seconds moving on. Like, I felt like I was getting lost at some points. I feel like with the amount of scenes they added of the white lady seeker just going around in the desert looking for Wanda and Melanie, they could have used some of those scenes for something else to settle us down a little more. The transitions between scenes I felt like kind of messed up the flow of time a bit for me in the same way the pacing did. At times I couldn't really tell when time was passing or how long time has passed. The story is meant to take place over a year according to the book, but it doesn't really feel like that. Like I said, there's only so much they can do in 2 hours with an entire book of material to work with, so take this criticism with a grain of salt. Characters were one-dimensional. Seeker is your basic villain. There's nothing else there. And she doesn't even face justice. They just send her off to wreak havoc on some other unsuspecting planet. Like, who does that help? They should have smashed her with a fucking bat to make sure she doesn't come back ever. Because she will come back. Y'all just sent her off to be your great times 10 grandchildren's problem. It makes zero sense. I've made small comments throughout that some of these actors were definitely phoning it in, particularly the boys. They sucked, I'm gonna just be honest. However, this was my introduction to Saoirse Ronan, and I've followed her career ever since, so that's one thing I'm happy about this movie. I think the chemistry between them is fine enough. I can't really see either of them being good partners for Melanie or Wanda. They didn't really have many conversations with each other. They kissed a couple times, but that doesn't make a relationship. These boys were definitely not developed well at all, and again, I understand why. This isn't their story. This is about Melanie and Wanda, but I would have liked a little more characterization for them instead of, oh, these two are brothers and they're protective over their respective girlfriends. Like, okay, what else is there, you know? But those are my thoughts about The Host. I'm really disappointed, actually. I liked this movie a lot as a kid, but now that I look at it with a more critical eye, this movie sucks. Like, really bad. If you enjoyed me shitting on this movie, please go ahead and give this video a like, comment your thoughts down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Helps me out a lot. Thanks for joining. I will see you in the next one.